Hi, friends. This is Bobby Lehew with commonsku, our Chief Content Officer with commonsku, and I want to welcome you to this webinar with our great friend Tony McNally. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Hey guys, good afternoon. Happy Thursday.
I am so glad you decided to join us today. We always love talking to you, Tony. We've done this a few times, and I'm so glad to have you back. You and your team do some absolutely amazing work. I'm going to do a formal intro about Tony in just a minute, but first, I want to let you know. Thank you, by the way, for joining us. If you are here as a guest, just know that we are so thankful you spent 30 minutes out of your time, and we are going to fill it full of some jam-packed information. First off, this webinar is primarily for those who are interested in commonsku, but if you're a customer and you showed up and you just want to hear Tony, I don't blame you. I would too. So that's why I'm here. But if you're fed up with just the order frustration and the scavenger hunt around that, let me introduce commonsku to you. commonsku is the #1 software for distributor growth. It is a platform built by promo pros for promo pros. So those of us that have been involved in this platform come from within the industry. And so we know the pain you have, and we have solved that pain. We are a CRM, order management, and e-commerce platform wrapped into one. Over 800 distributors power their business with commonsku, powering over 1.8 billion and 100 plus supplier partners. And here's the cool thing. On average, commonsku distributors grow around 20% annually. That's amazing growth compared to an industry standard of 1 to 3% or so. Before we get to Tony, and I promise it'll be quick, we have a quick poll for you. Which of the following situations resonates with you the most? Do you feel like you need full-time staff members to help rekey orders and admin and things like that? Do you feel like catching up on paperwork is impossible? Answer the poll you see there on your screen. Maybe your team struggles to access the information they need when they need it, or when a rep is absent, do orders just disappear, or do things come to a standstill? Let us know what you think, and we'll end the poll here in just a minute. Tony, how about you? Before commonsku, where would you answer this question, on inefficiency?
I would
All,
say all of
all of
the
the above.
above help. Can I add three more exclamation
Oh,
points?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's hilarious, right? Because you know the pain that's involved in that. We can end the poll here and just see what the results are. All right, very, very interesting. It often feels like we need full-time staff members. Let me do an official introduction to Tony because he deserves it. Vanguard is a promotional products distributor focusing on print, promotional, digital advertising. In addition to the New York City headquarters, they have satellite offices in Philly, Rock Hill, Connecticut, and a warehouse with over 100,000 square feet in Maplewood, New Jersey. Tony has over 15 years of experience leading multiple distributorships in the Northeast while at Vanguard, and he has helped transition the company's sales force to multi-channel selling team, restructuring the in-house production team, and creating work efficiencies through his creative methods. He's passionate about helping folks achieve their goals. And it's a well-known fact that if he wasn't in the industry, he'd be a hockey playing firefighter who tours the country playing guitar for a rock band. I can attest because we were in Nashville just a few weeks ago with Tony, and he had on the coolest boots I've ever seen. So yeah, he would be playing in a band for sure. It's great to see you, my friend.
Great to be here. And
Hey,
I would show my boots if I had the flexibility of a gymnast, but I don't. So I'm gonna add that for my next
all
speech.
right. Okay. All right. Hey, what kind of clients do you serve at Vanguard?
So I think Vanguard's pretty similar to a lot of distributors out there. We try to diversify our client pool. So we do have your traditional corporate clients, but we work heavily in the state contract market. So we
Hmm.
do a lot for the municipal agencies in New York City.
Can you give us an idea what that looks like from a project perspective? Like, was there a project you did this past year that you really loved that sort of exemplifies what you guys do at Vanguard?
Yeah, I think we worked with the Department of Education on a program helping youth learn to save for college. They actually worked with the students to develop a dinosaur called the Savosaurus, who was going to teach kids as they grow through different developmental stages how to save for college. So we worked with the print team on working some print. We work on the social media team for creating a campaign for them. But then on the promo side, we took that dinosaur that the kids had came up with, and I said, what if we just brought that dinosaur to life? And we made a custom plushie for the school where the kids actually created little gibbets that went into the dinosaur's hand, and it was just such like a 4D emotional experience for the kids.
Cool.
It was it's so much fun. And now we're actually working on building out. So I saw some great products when I was at SKU Camp that I really think are going to integrate this and bring the product to the next level.
And that's typically what you do with your clients, right? You build them in for bring them in for one project and you just keep building upon the things you're doing for them,
Exactly,
whether it's
exactly.
shops or things like that. How many team members are on your promo team?
Right now in New York City, we have about 14, and then we have an outer office has about two in each, and then I have a team in the Philippines.
Oh, busy guy. All right. So take us back to before commonsku. Like what were you using for order management before commonsku?
Do I have to remember those days right now?
You're the best, Tony.
Um, so I'm gonna be honest. Before I came to Vanguard, since the promo department wasn't a big focus of Vanguard,
Yeah.
it was a little touch and feely. So we were creating estimates and quotes within Excel, saving those down to PDFs. There was a lot of printing of those files, printing the Sage pages, and creating manual folders to
Oh
be a
man.
job jacket that went
Yeah.
back and forth and kind of traveled that history of the order.
Yeah.
Not only do we create those manual projects, but
Mhm.
then we needed to store those, right? We need to, if we need to come back to an order, we need to have those files. So we would store those at the warehouse. And then as we needed to do a repeat order, we would say, hey, warehouse, can we get that folder back so we can go through all those pages of emails and PDFs and save pages, and let's try to do a repeat. We used an ERP system that was very print heavy. And then when I came here, I had some previous promo experience, and I worked a lot with other ERP systems, obviously ProfitMaker, QuickBooks, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I was tasked with finding an ERP system that was going to kind of take us out of 1985.
Right. Right. I remember all those file cabinets, by the way. I mean, as someone who is also in the same boat as you,
Yeah.
what were you using for like team collaborate? Like, how did you guys communicate, especially for sales?
I'm going to be honest. We had a CRM that was kind of introductory, and a lot of it was manual, it was emailing back and forth. We do, and we still do. We rely heavily on in-house meetings to kind of collaborate and do that ideation in-house.
Yeah.
But there was nothing documenting it. There was nothing creating that history of the ideation, a history of where projects and artwork went from inception to final execution.
Yeah. It seems like sales team collaboration is more important than ever before. I mean, since you started, Tony, I'm curious if you'd feel this way like I did, like I do. Client projects have gotten more complex than ever before. There are more moving parts. What is it exactly? Why do you think the projects have become more complex than ever before?
I think the clients have a different expectation on the ideation level. I think they're expecting more of a full service marketing experience. They're looking to us to develop their ideas. They're not
Mm,
looking for us to just sell them products these days. And I think that's one of our biggest focuses. Let's not look at what promotional product is going to get them to the end result, but what kind of marketing effort collectively as a unit is going to get them where they need to be. And I
yeah.
think when you do look at product, I think they're looking heavily on the retail side, saying, this is what I'm seeing in retail, and this is what I want my clients to have. And historically, I think the industry has always been 5 to 6 years behind retail. And within the last 5 years, I think you can attest that window has shrunk down
Yeah.
to the point where us as distributors need to be on par or if not ahead of what's happening at retail.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually have heard from a very large supplier that promo sometimes leads their retail division, which is interesting, right? Because of the demands from customers. So, give us an idea on commonsku, how commonsku has improved team communication with your reps and your team at Vanguard. And while you're doing that, I'm going to show my screen, and we can sort of look at the CRM tool while we're talking. But how has it improved communication with your team? Because you got a pretty large team and you have all
Yeah.
these complex projects.
I think on one point, the biggest point is visibility. I think you'll see within the CRM, within the program, you can look at a project and really understand where something started for, where it grew, and how it got to its end result.
Right.
Um, I think for us, an education factor, because a lot of our team members and our sales staff didn't have that promotional education. I think it's also helped them develop their understanding of how production works, of how projects works, of how the supplier distributor relationship works, and it gets them to that growth point to where we need to be today.
Mm. What kind of impact on your team did you see at Vanguard after initially adopting commonsku? I mean, you went from sort of file cabinets and job jackets to a fairly sophisticated platform.
So I'll let you know we still have the filing cabinets, but now they're just filled with amazing spec samples. So the cabinets are still here. I could show you them if you guys wanted, but I won't. I think the first thing without saying is efficiency, right? Like
Yeah.
the biggest thing, no matter what the industry is you want to create the most efficiency possible with the team members you have. And I
Yeah.
found that commonsku was able to do that for us. It was having my team work faster. It was having my team get to the products that they needed on POs faster. The integration with some of the suppliers that we have allows us to get the POs to them faster, as well as the information back from the suppliers as far as tracking and order status is way faster than us picking up the phone and constantly saying, hey, what's the status on my purchase order?
Right.
But I think honestly, it made everybody happier. I think when you don't have those efficiencies,
Mm,
it tends to bog your team down and it makes a team stress and not be able to feel like they can get their job executed the way they want.
yeah, absolutely. What about you, Tony? You manage a large team. You have and in your business, you really do have a lot of complex projects. I say that about every distributor, but you guys have a lot of complex projects. As a manager, how do you stay on top of things using commonsku? I mean, what are key reports or source of some key rhythms that you're into that help you stay on top of projects?
So for us, the dashboards are amazing, both the sales dashboard and the production dashboard. On the sales dashboard side, we look a lot at projections as far as where we are sales wise and where we're trying to get to. We look a lot at what projects are open. We look a lot at what projects are past due. Because we use those to kind of gauge where the business is going and where the business is going to be in the next 3 to 6 months. On the production side, the production dashboard we use because the ability to get a quick glimpse and a quick snapshot of what stages your projects are in, the in-hand stage for your projects, and allows my team to prioritize their day to get the most done in the shortest amount of time. Also within that production dashboard, we tend to use the next action a lot. We've created some manual next actions that allow us to look at a project, see what has to happen next, and then sort our reporting by what actions need to do, because then you can do multiple actions at one time.
Oh, that's huge. We have a question from the community. How did you and your team prepare to transition to commonsku? Or, how did you prep your team? What was that process like for you? I know we're digging back into the archives here, but
Yeah, no, of course, great question. It started with prayer. Um, it's followed with drinks after 5 o'clock. But honestly, it's about buy-in. I think once you get your team to understand the goals of what the platform is going to do, um, it helps. We also did things in stages. So we didn't jump out of our old ERP and into commonsku overnight. We transitioned certain aspects of commonsku while still using the old platform, and then
right.
slowly took things from the platform and put them into commonsku. Um, I think obviously transitioning ERP or CRM is one of the biggest things a company can do. So it
Yeah.
does have to be done strategically.
Would you say, and I don't want to ask just a leading question because if I'm wrong, just let us know. Would you say it was easier than you thought? Though a lot of folks really get worried about that particular process, and many that I've heard say it was actually easier than we thought. It wasn't that it was easy, but it was easier than we thought.
It was easier than I thought, actually. And I think the reason is that what commonsku does is it takes complex ideas and complex situations and just simplifies them, right?
Yeah.
The idea of looking at a project as so we had folders, right? So we took those projects and looked at them as folders, right? So when you simplify what you're looking at to something that's relatable to the team, it just made that transition so much easier. Okay, I opened a new folder. Maybe not, well, you didn't call it a project at first.
Right.
And then they understood, hey, I'm putting all of these items in my folder. My art
Yeah.
is in my folder. So it just related back to them.
Yeah, it's a really good point, making those connections for the differentiation of change and some of that
Yeah.
nomenclature and what we're calling things. I'm going to sidebar for a little bit because you also use shops and in client tools like that have really helped clarify things with your customers. Do you have an example of a shop experience that's helped like accelerate sales or a pop-up shop that you've used that you would particularly like?
Yeah. So recently we actually used a pop-up shop to reactivate a client that we were kind of failing on. So we had a
Mm,
client who, had a couple bad experiences, and they were just weren't feeling the love from Vanguard at that point. They came to us with the wanting to um, gift and create a store for their employees to go on to commemorate them doing a survey. So what we ended up doing was giving them the option to, hey, purchase all these high-end premium gifts. We'll store them at the warehouse, and we end up using the shop as a way to capture data and allow them to go on, pick their premium gift, and then have it drop shipped directly to the office. There's a couple different areas that they had them go to. We let them pick where it was going to get delivered. We get them pick, hey, not only where is it going to get delivered, but what kind of gifts would you guys like to see in the future? Because one of the great things about shops is you can use those editable fields to create a questionnaire for the employees, right? Because not
yeah.
only did I want to give the client, hey, yes, I'm going to execute this for you. I'm going to get these items delivered, but I'm going to get feedback from your staff to understand what do they want? What would make them fill this survey out next time? And I think
Yeah.
that was just as important for them.
If the manager, what are one or two features that you couldn't live without?
Hmm. I would say for me, it would be definitely my dashboards, without a doubt. Since I can't just say commonsku as a whole, definitely the dashboards, definitely the shops, and honestly, the news feed. I love using
Oh,
the internal
it's great.
news feed and the
Yeah.
commonsku news feed. So
Yeah.
the internal news feed, I can go on, I can see, hey, we got 4 new clients created today. I can see, hey, we got new projects made today. What new products were made today? And then I could jump with a click of the button into the commonsku news feed and see what the rest of the commonsku community is doing.
Yeah. It's funny. I think we take it for granted. The news feed's been around since inception practically. And the news feed is, we take it for granted that that kind of transparency exists now, but it's amazing to see. And it's also like a boost to your own like encouragement, right? It's an inspiration to see what the
Absolutely.
team's working on, and especially you, because now you have so many people, you can't quite get your hands, you can't have conversations with everybody all the time. You can see what they're working on.
But I can pinpoint those conversations. Like if I see somebody who's done something and I can reach out and say, hey, I
Yeah.
saw you just did this great job. They're like, "But how did he even know that I knew I was doing that?" Right?
Right.
It makes you
Right. Yeah.
makes you kind of look like a magician
I've
or
heard
Big
other
Brother.
managers. Yeah, yeah, I've heard other managers say that, that's exactly what they use it for. That they can go in and congratulate somebody on a project, or
Yeah.
give them help if they need it on something. We had one question. What would you use? I'm going to let you answer this, Tony. How about a one person distributorship? Is it, we talk about common keys for teams, and it's built for teams, but we have the question, and I want to honor the question that's in the chat. Would you recommend it for one person distributorship?
I would. You know what I think though? I think for a one person distributorship, it gives you the breadth of being more than one person, right?
Ah, it's
Because
good.
this community and the suppliers are so integrated into the platform, you're not alone.
Yeah.
The suppliers are looking at what products are being done. So they're able to say, hey, I know you're working on this project. If I get you a sample, do you think it'll push you over that platform? Or if you get stuck, or if you get bogged down on I just don't know the right product to work on this. You could put a note in the community. You can bounce ideas off of other people like myself that are in this community. It really makes that one person distributorship larger than it really is.
Yeah, doesn't feel as lonely anymore as well. That's all right. All
Yeah.
right. Since we have so many customers on the call, I want to ask on the webinar today, I want to ask this question about you and how you manage your team. You've managed this promo team now with some of the most successful brands in North America. You have a very complex business model. You've grown from a sales rep in the field to just taking orders to leading the team, the brand experience manager. If you look back, as especially in your role here as a leader now, and you had to give a younger Tony McNally, or maybe Tony McNally, the salesperson, the new salesperson, what advice would you give them about growth and leadership in this industry?
Um, I'm going to say that, promo is really about people, right? So looking at a client side, clients want to work and want to interact with somebody who's personable. They want to know that you understand their business, and they want to work with you as a person, not work with you as much as an organization. And I
Mm,
think creating that relationship with your clients goes a really long way. But then on the back end, the same applies to staff, right? Making sure that the staff that you work with love coming to work every day,
yeah.
realizing that the people that you're working with are what's driving your business. And just telling myself, like, keep working with people, keep motivating people, keep making people happy, and you'll keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. You know what I love about your personality, Tony? You've done this to me so many times as we've seen each other at events. This is a fun industry that has the potential to be incredibly stressful at any given day, at any given moment. And you do a really good job staying on top of the attitude of being positive and spreading that energy and joy to others. So thank you for
I
that,
appreciate
my
that. I
friend.
appreciate it.
Since adopting the right tech tools is such a critical choice for distributors who want to grow, what advice would you give those who are thinking about adopting commonsku?
All right. I would say any change that you make, especially to an ERP or CRM system, is going to be difficult. I don't think you can change what that's going to look like. But I think what you can do is you can manage your expectations, you can manage your team's expectations, and getting buy-in goes a long way. I would
Mm.
look at your A+ players on your team, make sure those A+ players have buy-in. And for me, it was a great trickle down. I got that buy-in, and that trickle down went down to the rest of the team.
It's fantastic advice, Tony. Thank you. I'm going to let you hang out for our polls here in case we have any
Yeah,
final questions from folks. If you have any
of
other
course.
questions, please throw them in the chat here. I've got a poll I want to share with you. If this is just do a blue sky poll, if you could gain one of the following for your business, what would it be? An end to all of that rekeying, order organization, an aligned team with streamlined handoffs, all the above. How would you answer this if you were trying to attack this for the first time? If you could gain one of the following, and it looks like I'm curious how the rekeying will impact versus streamlined handoffs are hard. Like, can you
Yeah,
imagine that, Tony, without having commonsku and just the handoffs? Remember the old job
no.
jacket? You had to run to the next office and hand it to
I'm
somebody.
going to
And
be honest. I hate coming back to COVID just because like I feel like we've talked
sure,
about it to
well,
exhaustion. But I don't know if we would have survived through COVID without that transition to common skill.
yeah, it's a really great point. It looks like all the above wins, but still, a lot of folks are doing a lot of rekeying. I'm still surprised to this day that we live in a day and age where people are still rekeying a lot since we have so many
Don't do
solutions
it.
there. Yeah, don't stop. All right, how would you like to stay in touch with us? This is the last question for you, and if you have any more questions for Tony, we'll throw them in the chat there and we'll answer those. But how would you like to stay in touch with us? We would love to be your partner in this as you look ahead to the year, and a fourth quarter will be a great time for you to implement commonsku and get ready for 2025. And we would love to see you be a part of the community. Thank you, my friends, for joining us. Tony, any final words of advice you would give for folks?
I'm just going to say if you're thinking about joining common skill, stop thinking, act.
That's great, my friend. That's really great. I'm going to get you back to your busy life. Thanks for
Thank you.
hanging out with us today. Thanks for spending your generous time with us, and
Anytime.
be well, my friend.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you.
Bye.